Hey everybody, welcome back. Today's video is Virgo 3. So we are the last decan in Virgo. So as usual, I just spent a little bit of time kind of recapping what's been going on. So how these have come through for me has been a lot of just like organizing, cleaning, perfecting my space, getting rid of things that I don't need, that I've been holding on to for a long period of time, thinking that I might need them someday. Different things like that, right? I've been like business has gotten pretty busy and there's been a nice flow of money coming in. So I've been doing some shopping and just buying things that create like a luxurious atmosphere. So like beautiful candles, some nice linens and blankets, decorating my space. I redid redecorating my space, I should say. If anyone follows my channel, you'd see that I got my hands on this like really old, like gothic-y revival looking table. I got it for 20 bucks because this person was like, it's garbage, I'm gonna throw it out. And she's like, well, she's like, I want 20 bucks for it. She's like, but if nobody buys it, I'm just gonna throw it in the dumpster, because she was moving and she had this great big huge dumpster in front of her house. And I was like, well, I'll just give you 20 bucks for it because I really would hate to see this thrown in the garbage. And it's worth $20 a million times over. Yeah, it needed to be repaired. Its one leg was broken. It had issues on the top, like I don't even know what you call it, like the wood panels at the top, like the wood piece at the top kind of separated from age, so I had to glue that back together and then restain it, which sucks because I had to then sand off the old like patinaed stain, which was gorgeous. But whatever, it's fixed, it's in my space, I'm already reading from it. It's amazing. So it's just been perfecting my space, perfecting my home space and my business space as well, right? Changing things around, reorganizing. I literally the one day sat down and went through every single one of my cupboards in my business and just threw things out, dumped things, put stuff either out for sale or just got rid of it, different things like that, right? So a lot of like nurturing and cleansing my space and cleaning my space and bringing in beautiful elements. And unfortunately, like I said, a lot of shopping by myself or with like my niece, but just going out and spending some cash and putting some money out into the world right now and trying to help correct the economy, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how much I can do as a one person, but I gave it my best, right? So that's kind of the way it was. And the interesting thing is like the hermit, I've I feel like over the last couple weeks, like really deep into my routine, into my rituals, really sinking into them, feeling them, thinking about them. Like when I'm not doing them, thinking about them and pondering them and longing to do them. Like I have this like this like thirst for connection and ritual and like my personal practice. So I kind of feel like that's like where the hermit is coming in, right? But so this is our last time with a majority of these cards. Next video, all these change, a bunch of these are change, like we've got a lot of stuff, but we do have a little bit of change today happening, right? So let's get to that. Let's change these out and see what, oops, nope, the hermit's staying, and see what's coming forward for us. So the Nine of Pentacles and the Empress are leaving us, and we have the Ten of Pentacles and the Magician coming in. We are also losing the King of Pentacles, and we are now coming into the realm of the Queen of Swords, which is really funny because I can already tell you what that that has affected me or how that's come out. And I've already changed the Hermetic Tarot. Here's the Queen of Swords for the Hermetic Tarot. So we're going to slide her in here. So there's all these. So we had one change in the cards of these cards, but next time we have, like, the rest of them are all going to change. So this is kind of our last time with a few of these cards. Okay, here's our Hermetic Tarot, the Magician, the Ten of Pentacles, and the Hermit. And then our planetary influence, we have Mercury. All right, there we go. This is what's falling into place and what's happening now until the next Decan. So interesting enough, not really sure how the Ten of Pentacles comes into play quite yet, which is weird because this whole entire time I have felt this energy. The energies in these cards have started in my life before the Decan had, like, barely changed. Like, it either happened the night before the Decan changed, or like the day before the Decan changed, or the day of the Decan change, where I feel like this, I'm not really sure how this is coming into play quite yet. I've done a lot of thinking, and I think it's just, I think if I was to pick anything, it's the fact that, like, I feel like my space is really perfected. I feel like I can just sit back now and enjoy it. I've got all my new business cards in. I've got all my new signage up. I've got, a beautiful reading space that is now complete. I have my other side of my space, my healing space, my Reiki table, and all of that stuff is complete. I got all brand new linens for that. And I just feel like maybe this is it right here, is it's just like, I don't know, like, it's my legacy that I'm leaving, right? Like, eventually, someday, I'm going to have to step down from this job or from this position, and it will then be left to whoever takes it from me, right? Whether that's my nieces, or it is sold to somebody, or I take on, like, an apprentice at some point down the road and start training them. I'm not really sure, but it kind of makes me think of those things. And I'm not sure why, but that's kind of where we're at. And that's the only thing that I can, like, I can kind of feel, is like, I feel like I'm like this gentleman sitting here with these elaborate robes on and just complete and happy with his environment and what he's created and what he's developed. And yeah, like, I don't have kids or anything like that, but my business is my baby. And I feel like I really like how things are right now, and I really like how things have come together and what I can offer the community, right? My community. So I feel like that's kind of maybe where this is all going. Not sure. But that's kind of what it feels like. All right. Now, another thing that I thought was really interesting, and I'm going to touch on it. I always kind of read ahead a little bit, right, before I do these videos. In Susan's book, she talks about how the Hermit and this elderly gentleman on the Ten of Pentacles card, how it looks like the Hermit. Like, his journey is done, his journey is complete, and it looks like him without his hood up, without his, with like, in different robes. And, like, look at how crazy. Let me get my camera into focus. Like, look at that. I never even noticed that. This gentleman in this card 100% looks like the Hermit. Like, how crazy cool is that? And I feel like this is, like, obviously this is the last decan of Virgo, so it's like the end of the Hermit's journey through Virgo, right? So I don't know, like, I think it's crazy. It's like he's completed his journey and he's just now sitting and chilling, and he's like, yeah. And I think it's crazy how in this card he's like shining the lantern that has the pentacle in it, right? And he's like looking kind of down, and this guy's just kind of like staring like off towards, like they're looking at each other in a way, right? So I don't know, I thought that that was so crazy, and I never noticed that. And it's funny because this Decan walk has made me compare cards and look at cards that I've never compared before, right? Like I've looked at these cards individually and I've looked at their symbolism individually, but I've never looked at them as like together or against each other or comparing them together. And I just think that it's insane. Like I've never noticed that the elderly gentleman on the Ten of Pentacles looks so much like the Hermit. Never noticed it. But I mean, I've studied these cards individually and I've looked at their symbolism and the different things that exist in them individually, right? So just a really interesting concept. Like I said, I've really enjoyed this Decan walk. This has been amazing. It has been such a wonderful time. And I didn't mention it, but I believe the last Decan video was our 6-month point. So we are halfway through. We are halfway through our Decan walk. Like, how crazy is that, eh? I never even looked at that either, and I didn't realize that until the last video. After I shot it, I was like, I'm pretty sure that was just like the middle point of this Decan walk. So we are now at we are halfway. How cool is that, eh? So as usual, I'll read from this lovely, fantastic book. And then we'll look at the cards, the ones that have been changed, and yeah, and then we'll go from there. So in Susan's book, she talks about how with the final card of Virgo, we come to the end of the story of Earth. The suit of Pentacles talks to us about bodies, things, money. It is the story of the life of matter. In the 2s, 3s, and 4s of Pentacles, we fired the engines of material ambition. In 5, 6, and 7, we sought to attain material success by interacting with others in the world's marketplace. And in 8, 9, and 10, we tend to the material legacy. Earth's elemental major is the world, appropriately enough. Within the rounded confines of its reef, we are born. We live, we die, and then we begin again. Stories of the world are stories of return and redemption. They are stories of our existence in the infinite fields of time. And the language of the market informs the way we talk about that existence. We spend our lives doing something. We save lives. Our lives have value. We built a livelihood. We sought out purpose. We fashioned inheritance for our successors. Whatever we first conceived, we have now brought to the earth and made real. As above, so below. The magician, avatar of Mercury, ruler of Virgo, shows us it is so. And then she goes on to talk about the hermit. We know that the hermit corresponds to the sign of Virgo, but who is that wise old man we see in the hermit card? And how is he an archetype reflected in 8, 9, and 10 of Pentacles? I believe that the 8 of Pentacles, we see the hermit's focus, the search for truth that drives him to seek out the unknown. In 9, we see the conditions and the consequences of his mission, solitude. And in 10, we see how long his journey has been and the years it has exacted. We sense his age. The 10 of Pentacles is a populist card, but it is the grandfather who holds the foreground. Although his time is nearly over, he is, for one last moment, still the hero of his tale. On the 10 of Pentacles, our grandfather sits shrouded or camouflaged by a rich tapestry of his own life. His exploits are literally behind him. He has already half passed into the realm beyond the living, signified by the arching stone, and he shares this secret truth with his dogs. Perhaps they are guides to what comes next. In a way, you can say the two stories are parallel in the sequences of 8, 9, and 10 of Pentacles. One is the story of a product turned out in quantity for public consumption, perfected and transformed into profit. The other is a human story, how we make tangible our life's purpose and pass it down to the next generations. That's life purpose might be any number of things. To make works that others can consume, to leave an intellectual legacy, or to help and heal others, or even simply to earn a lot of cold hard cash and leave it to our heirs as a trust fund. So I'm going to stop right there for a minute because I wanted to look at this card a little bit more in depth. All right, so in this we're seeing that he's sitting on the other side of the stone arch, right? Everybody else is on the other side. He's sitting back. He's got this beautiful tapestry on. The money are all sitting behind him. They're all located behind him. And he has these two dogs that are sitting right at his feet, very attentively sitting at his feet. And it seems like these people are having a conversation, doing whatever they do, but they're ahead of him, right? They're in and almost in like a different area of the courtyard as him, right? And it's interesting if you look on this tapestry that's hanging here in the corner, you can see like a mountain with like snow and like water at the feet of it, which I think is really cool. It makes me think of the Hermit card and what's happening in the Hermit card. I don't know, very interesting things that I've never even noticed before. So there's a nice close look at the Ten of Pentacles. And then I'll continue on with what's in her book. She does, in a few of the chapters, refer to the Tree of Life and different things like that. So if you own this book, you can read into all of that different stuff. She also goes on to say, like most readers, I am happy when I see the Ten of Pentacles. It seems to have an air of abundance, community, and plentiful resources. It has a correlation with food stuff, which symbolizes money, like lentils, berries, nuts. Sometimes it's a bit of a bonanza feeling, days where I get lots of orders or tons of packages. It can be a bit obsessed with money and financial systems. Many times I have enjoyed the company of older relatives or finished up my big physical projects when getting this card, but sometimes it has been more sinister cast, accompanying deep fatigue, aches, and pains. For good or for ill, the Ten of Pentacles comes with heaps of humanity, a reunion, an assembly, a city, even spirits thronging from their graves. Sometimes strangers are just friends who have not been met before. And then she says the takeaway from all of this is Mercury is strong in the Ten of Pentacles, ruling both Decan and sign. When you draw the Ten of Pentacles, any or all of the gifts may be yours, and you may find yourself in a position to make excellent use of them. Remember, however, that Hermes' special powers involve movement, change, and transaction. What larger purposes will your gifts serve? Who will benefit from them when you no longer can? When your life is harvested, in what form shall it take root next? Yeah, so all very interesting. And it was interesting to me because I had not read that far ahead, that I had mentioned earlier in the video about me feeling like I've gained and I've completed so many things that I've wanted to accomplish for myself, and like my room and my space and my home and everything's just starting to feel kind of put together and completed in a way, right? So it's funny that that was kind of mentioned in there. Now let's get in. Let's read about all this different stuff here like we usually do. So I'm going to read about Mercury. I know that we've read about Mercury before, but let's just refresh our memories. Mercury, the messenger, is the planet of communication, thinking, and intelligence. Its primary focus are ideas, concepts, and the sharing of information. It is both teacher and student. Technology, wit, rationality, and logic are all its allies. So I feel like that obviously is going to have a lot of influence over all of this, right? Very interesting. Okay, now let's get into the Hermetic Tarot. So let's first read about the Ten of Pentacles. All right, so the Ten of Pentacles, Lord of Wealth. 10 blossoming roses are shown without any sign of a rose branch. Each rose touches a pentacle. Although the pentacles are not turning, they still imply a great and final solidification of energy. The symbols of Mercury and Virgo are shown at the center of the grouping of the pentacles. All right, so there we go. Let's take a look at that. Let me get my camera to focus. There we go. There's the Hermetic Tarot. So we've got all those roses, all of our pentacles, and then we've got the two signs like right in the center of the card, like it said. And Lord of Wealth. And then the Magician. We have read about the Magician before, but like I said, we'll refresh our memory. So the Magus of Power. The symbol of the winged Mercury crest appear at the top of the card. The snake-like creature that issues from beneath the crest are similar to those found on the Cadius, held by the radiating figure of Mercury to the left of the card. The magician is seen as a communicator with the gods and the storer of knowledge which he willingly dispenses. Similar to Mercury, who in mythology is the winged messenger of the gods. Thus, the magician, through his actions and expeditions of will, can bring unity between the divine intellect and the physical world. By intelligence, the idea of God is conceived, and by willpower, works of good nature are accomplished. The altar at his feet contains the symbols of the four suits, the swords, the wands, which is represented by a dagger, cups, and the image of the pentagram on the book. There is also a burning candle and the triangular symbol for earth. The picture of Mercury appears to radiate before him. All right, so there's the Magician. We've got all that, the tools at his feet. We've got the snakes up here. We've got Mercury. We've got the candle. All that happening. And then we did read about the Hermit in the previous videos. You can always visit that if you want to reflect on that again. All right, now over here we have changed out the Queen of the page, or sorry, the King of Pentacles for the Queen of Swords, and we're gonna take a look at her. So the interesting thing about that is, if you follow my channel, you will see that I just released a video where I was very Queen of Swords about my views and opinions on some different things that have been happening in and around my business and my profession as a reader. And I was very much like embracing that Queen of Swords energy, I feel. At least like to, my ability, right? But yeah, so I feel like that's that personality trait that came through where I was like, I'm doing a video about this. I'm doing a rant and a ramble on tarot etiquette and manners, right? So if you haven't seen that video yet, go check it out. Unless you don't want to hear me rant and ramble, then I don't blame you. But it's got some good information in it that might be a little helpful in some ways. All right, so when we see the Queen of Swords in the Hermetic Tarot, it is Queen of the Thrones of Air, and she is holding the head of a man in her hands. So let's read about that and see what's going on there. Look at that, open straight up almost to it. Okay, the Queen of Swords. A graceful woman with curly hair stands amid a multitude of rolling clouds. The crest above her head is the winged cherubic head of air. Across her shoulders she holds a large sword, and in her right hand she grasps the newly severed head of a man by locks of his hair. Woo woo, look at that. All right. She's like, yeah. Very Kali energy. The funny thing is I said that, but the funny thing is Kali. I've been seeing things about Kali lately. I've been drawn to her energy. So it doesn't surprise me that like this is very much that Kali energy, right? So I don't know, very interesting. But yeah, so she's just like psh, chopped his head off. All right. And that head can symbolize many things, right? It doesn't have to be a person. It can be a situation. It can be an event. It can be like, different opinions or views, or I feel like it's just that straightforwardness, right? That abrupt abrasiveness of it. So there you go. That is our Decan for the next little bit here. This is what's coming forward. I like its energy. I find it really interesting. I'm really looking forward to finding out like how this is all going to play out, because like I said, usually I've already had a bunch of stuff happen to me before this has even taken place that's related to it, but this has not been the case this Decan. Other than, like I said, I feel like I've really perfected everything. I've gotten everything to where I wanted it to be. I've spent 5 years working to a platform to get to a certain position, and to have things a certain way. And I feel like I'm pretty much achieved them at this point. Like there's a little bit more, right? There's always more, but like I'm feeling really good with the way things are, as far as my business and like different things like that, right? And I know I talk a lot about my business, but like it's really honestly my life. I don't have kids. I've chosen to not have kids long time ago. That ship has well sailed, and I'm just like my home, my business are my everything. It's what makes me get up in the morning. It's very important to me, right? So that's kind of why I talk about it as much as I do. But anyways, all right. So when we look at the wheel, so this Decan is going to go from September 12th to September 22nd. So our next video will not be until September 23rd. And we're going to be looking at the Two of Swords. So I hope everybody has an amazing Decan. I hope this turns out to be something beautiful for everybody. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks. Bye.